Starter Grind. Tonight we've got Eikmeier. So if everyone can stand up, give him a round of applause.
I'm sorry.
We had a few people last time. We had more people this time, but it sounded like because this back wall, there used to be a wall in the centre here, and so we had the first time with this echo, so it made it sound like there's more people than there would be before.
No, it's a great turnout, 60, 80 people. Welcome everybody!
Short people, fun things. So, we start off with a standard question. What did your parents do?
Yeah, alright, so my dad was a German immigrant, came over as a 23-year-old and just did. So he real sort of, I guess, that sort of mongrel entrepreneur, in on a boat, came with nothing, started as a hairdresser, got into lots of things. The first business actually was with Dad, which didn't go well, there, but yeah, so that was that, and Mum was, she was a bookkeeper for a while, but really a mum.
Two people now. Chris's mum was too. Yeah. So what got you in, what was your first entrepreneurial, what was the first thing you did for a business that you found this is where you want to be today?
Yeah, I think growing up, even in sort of high school, and then, I just had always imagined going into business. It just seemed like the path. I'd not considered a profession. And when I'm sort of 41 now, when I was looking for, I wanted to, I was good at school, so I wanted to do a degree, but there was no business degree, there was no marketing degree, there was no, I mean, one of you guys that works here studied entrepreneurship. As a degree, I'm like, how nice. So I did like economics accounting, which was the closest, it was a little link, it was that or law or something. It just wasn't there, but, so I was sort of, that was it. The first, I literally left uni to go into business with my dad actually, so I was 21.
So you didn't do anything as a kid, you didn't sell lemonade, give out fake parking tickets? I did that.
Yeah. No, Justin, my business partner, had a Christmas tree enterprise. But
did they call him the Grinch?
No, they called him the man that was stuck with 35 fucking Christmas trees on first week of January is what they called him. No, not really. I sort of, I did running around the street car washing. It was about an enterprise and I was like, but I was raised to, my parents said, don't charge too much, 10 cents. So I was like, okay, wash your car for 10 cents. So I don't think that was an enterprise so much.
Did you do a good job for 10 cents though?
Yeah, I did do a good job.
Put all your heart into it?
Yeah, but I felt I got taken advantage of.
Yeah.
As a 12-year-old.
12-year-old slave labour. So I guess you were in a country practice?
Yeah, I was a child actor.
You're not doing a Miley Cyrus sort of thing these days?
No, I gave up twerking at age 16.
Good.
As everybody should. No, I was a child actor, and that was really just a sort of hobby and an outlet. I think I didn't have pushy parents or anything. I just thought, you might enjoy this, so I did that. I went back into acting after the family business was going really badly.
Was that when you did the Coke commercial?
That was before that. That was still at high school. Went to uni, did the family business, and that was just messy and needed to escape. So went back and rang up an agent that I hadn't spoken to for 5 years and said, I'll get back into acting, got a job on the Gold Coast and ran away. So that was the only reason I got into that. Even while I was up there, I was like, I want to start a band and I want to make an album and I want to be, So that was sort of that. It never was a career choice so much as
You never wanted to just be one of those actors that was going to go to Hollywood and make it big?
No, well, I was really shit as an actor. Like I was actually a bad actor.
You were great.
No, I was really bad. I was appreciating saying that.
You got fast enough.
No, I was bad. I think it's important to know what you're good at and what you're not. And even if a career seems glamorous or has rewards or whatever,
there's something behind it.
Yeah, I just think I either have the chops or the passion. I knew people that would have cut off their right arm to be an actor and would have lived on 15 grand a year for 30 years to do a part in theatre, and I just didn't have that, you know. And also it's a career that I thought couldn't have an impact on yourself. You had an agent, you went to castings, you got cast or you didn't. Every time I'd try and take initiative and send letters or ring, I'd be like, okay, stop stalking me, weird actor. Your agent will get back to you. So I found that frustrating. So it wasn't for me.
You couldn't control your own destiny.
That's exactly right. And I think that's
someone else would hustle for you enough.
Yeah, I think that's in the DNA, isn't it, of any entrepreneur. You feel like if anyone, then who? Then you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who's equipped to do this? Who's going to be able to do this? Who do you trust to do this? You. That's why you do it. Yeah, exactly.
So you said before you were in a band. Didn't want to be a professional singer.
Loved it. Would have loved to be a professional singer.
What stopped it?
I think I didn't have. I wasn't in with this sort of the zeitgeist. I didn't have a sound. I didn't like sounds that were contemporary. I sort of liked Zeppelin growing up, and at the time I was sort of in bands. That just wasn't the sound that was looked for. So didn't really get the right group. Didn't really get the right.
It was just sort of wrong.
Yeah, and I think in the end as well, there was only so long I could go without making any money. You know.
Yeah, the passion sort of dies when you have to.
I think if you want to be successful, you need to taste it, or you need to have a sense that you can see it, some path to it. You know, I think that was probably the one thing that I didn't try that I got out of due to fear or due to I can't keep doing this. I think probably to my shame.
But I think you've picked that up in other areas though, where you've got over that initial fear with other businesses. So let's talk about this business with your dad that failed miserably.
Yeah, that's pretty raw. No, look, it was look, Dad had a real alcohol problem. Dad had gone from being an MD of an international company, of an Australian agency, of an international company, and a good salary and a good support network, to always being unsatisfied that he didn't own the business, so he wanted to do it himself. He just assumed all his clients and all the experience would just transfer over to the new company, and it didn't. And it was largely the downfalls alcohol fueled, and I was naive. I didn't know anything about business, and I made mistakes, and
so
wasn't equipped to take on
this business.
Oh, we were partners, so both everything.
Yeah.
But I just didn't have the experience or the business smarts to not make the kinds of decisions that saw us go down.
You had a bad experience with that business. That didn't scare you from trying again?
No, I think I blamed it on my dad.
Okay.
No, I acknowledge that it obviously took a while for me to start it again, but I think it was an area that it wasn't any area that I was particularly passionate about, or I enjoyed learning about business. But I think when I went back into business for myself, which was probably about 6-7 years after that, it was in something that I wanted to do. I wanted to create I wanted to make movies. I wanted to create a film production company.
Yeah.
And I did corporate videos on the side to just fund that, but then quickly got consumed in that. And then that sort of got me in the wine industry, actually, because it was the first clients were wine, and I loved wine, and I found myself doing something that I didn't really love in a space that I loved, which is an interesting one, I think, because often it was a bit different for startups or entrepreneurs, because you kind of have to do everything, especially in the beginning. But if people are looking for jobs and careers, I think the space that you're in is as important, if not more important, than the role you have, as far as that sort of fulfillment and passion goes.
So you've made a film, like producing movies or commercials, is that right?
Oh, it's just corporate videos in the end for wineries and stuff, yeah.
And then you went into doing a blog.
Yeah, it was actually, so that was sort of me going, I don't want to be a tradesman. That was finally my sort of getting back into doing something. And I started looking, it was at the time I started getting excited by the idea that that voice of the people, like customer reviews, which weren't that prolific then, were really important. So that was 2000, and yeah, pretty much 2000.
Around 2000.
Yeah.
So that was when forums were pretty big. All forums.
So this was when I started looking at that. It was 2000 was the video production company. 2004 was starting to look at, probably Amazon started introducing customer reviews, but it really wasn't around much. And forums were coming out, and MySpace had come out. I also liked the idea. I saw that the wine industry could be great if you could go somewhere and see what 200 people thought of a wine, not what James Halliday thought of a wine. At the same time, Justin, my brother-in-law, who, we had a brother-in-law relationship, he'd come back from 6 months in South America and been exposed to Facebook.
Yeah.
And he'd studied wine marketing and then gone into property development and sort of, felt it was a bit soulless and wanted to get back into wine. So we both came back into the same place. I'd moved to Adelaide then. And around the same time, both sort of wanting to start a business that was online and in a sort of a social space around wine. And we got together at Christmas one time and we were just talking about our businesses and we sort of went, he wanted to do Facebook for wine, I wanted to do customer reviews and this sort of portal where you could see what people thought about wine. And they sort of worked together.
Had you heard of Gary Vee by that point yet?
No, but we discovered him very soon after that.
Who was that, sorry?
Gary Vee.
Gary Vaynerchuk.
Oh,
He's,
yeah.
allegedly, he was really, he was a real role model for us actually. Not just in as a business, but he was a guy that, it was at a time when wine was still, there was a lot of what we call bow ties and bullshit. It was still, it was traditional, it was elitist, there was a lot of fear.
There's a special way to drink wine, isn't there?
Well, yeah, there is, and it was just this attitude of if you don't know, then you probably don't deserve to know. And he was one of the voices like us at the time, but had gone further with it. Just don't worry about all that. Just talk about it in plain English. And he was passionate about it. He was just a Jersey guy from Russian immigrant parents who took over his dad's wine store and just come on, we get online and make videos. And he was always right on the pulse with technology, but for its application for consumers.
Yeah.
And that was cool. So we sort of went, wow, that's really cool, and definitely took courage from, and actually reached out to him and formed a bit of a relationship. When we became the sort of the Australian voice of this movement. It was a movement. It was people going, don't worry about wine, wine's cool, it's relaxed. And we became the voice for a younger generation, Gen Y and Gen X. They didn't have a voice, or didn't have a communicator for them. So that was what that was about. But the biggest lesson we learned from that business was that you need a business model.
Yeah, so it was a blog. That's what I was trying to
It wasn't a blog, it was essentially it was a community, it was an online community.
Boys, right? Was that Quaff Boys?
That was the communication entity. The site was Quaff, and it was, look, you became a member and you could review wines and recommend wines and keep your little cellar, track your cellar and send recommendations to other people, and therefore you had a database of wines with community reviews on them. And that was sort of the idea of it, and you could friend people up. We made a lot of mistakes with it, but essentially it was just what we did create was we gathered sort of a few thousand of the geekiest wine lovers that were under 40 or whatever in one place. And there was no business model. We just assumed it would be awesome and everyone would do it and someone would pay us for something.
Like if you build it, they'll come sort of thing.
Yeah, it was big.
Yeah. So how did that transform into Vinomofo?
Yeah, look, it was 4 years of a lot of struggle of trying to. We put our sort of life savings, and I sold my house, and Justin put in all his life savings into Quaff and sort of funded not being able to pay ourselves for years, and tried lots of things in video and in location-based services, and we did some cool sort of stuff. But it was always, wine is not really a space that a lot of people are throwing money at, in terms of doing the peripheral things, communicating about wine or interacting with wine. The only place that money lies in wine really is in buying wine, just and selling wine. So it took us a long time to realise that, and it was really after backs to the wall, kind of flat broke, we'd got an angel investor to sort of get us through a little bit, and then burning through that cash, and it was just 4 years of going, like, we're going to have to quit if we don't
change something.
Yeah, change something drastic, and at a time when we were so busier than ever, and Justin came back from holidays going, "You've got to start a wine deal site. You know, I look at Groupon, it's really hot." And I was like, "No, come on, that's dirty."
That's the interesting part. So you went pretty much 4 years down to like bare bone of just trying to grind through to make money. Like a lot of the articles where they talk about Vinomofo, like you've been mentioned for the fast, like top 50 tech company. You went from, what was it, 15 million in the first year in sales of Vinomofo?
No, the first year was like 2.5.
Okay. And
And
then,
15 is more like, well,
so because it seems like from, without hearing the whole golf story beforehand, it seems like you guys just open up one day and then a year later you're really successful.
well, that did happen with Vinomofo, but like I said, that was the Vinomofo was
a
the
lot of lessons from the last 4 years.
that was the shift. Yeah, that was the shift of desperation to. And look, honestly, thankfully I had a business partner. And look, I really believe that any startup needs a partnership. I don't think anyone should do a startup on their own. I think even in the redundant partners is the most painful thing as your business grows and as you get successful. But having a partner that you really vibe off, I think that's something that never, no matter where you get to, you don't sit there and go, because in the beginning you need it for the support and for the ideas, and then when it's really working, I think it keeps you fresh and it keeps you ignited and excited otherwise. So yeah, I think, anyway, thankfully Justin was able to sort of, he was always better at stepping out and looking big picture and able to divorce himself from what we were doing and the commitment to what we were doing to be able to go, it's not working, it's kind of cool, and there's, 5,000 people who kind of like it, but it's never going to make money.
So you were the real laser focused type of guy.
We sort of, I was sort of the doer and and about sort of actioning stuff.
His background,
And I was
his background tech?
No, it wasn't, but he was the guy that come and go, hey, you should check out Facebook, it's really cool. You should check out Foursquare, it's really cool. You should check out Groupon, it's really hot. So he'd always be really interested. I'd always been a bit immersed in my stuff. And it's only been sort of the last year that I've started to step out of the business as well. Really. But, that allowed it. Otherwise, I never would have made a decision. I would have gone down with quad, for sure. And probably would have had a job by now.
Would have had a job?
Yeah, I don't know if that would have worked. But
what do you think you would have done?
I don't know. I reckon I would have been.
Acting.
I would have been a salesman for about 3 months.
Yeah.
And then I would have pissed off my boss. And then I would have, I don't know. And I'd probably have
Gone back to Signal.
got back into business. No, I would have started something else. So look, it was born of desperation, and then it was that sort of, right, if we're going to do it, then, and we actually looked, I didn't want to do it. I thought it was dirty. Selling wine was, always an idealist. But when we said, all right, let's see what our tribe thinks it is, and they were like, yeah, you're crapping on about wine for a long time.
techie.
Yeah, we just said, look, how would you feel if we started selling wine? We're thinking about launching this site. I mean, yeah, cool, we'd love to buy it from you. So we went, okay, it's just us then, worried about it. So that became, and look, it really was, it was two-handed. So on the one hand, we wouldn't have survived had we not launched it. On the other hand, it wouldn't have launched so well if we didn't have a really engaged core base of people to get it started. So the 4 years was sort of innate of that, and innate of building trust, and we had supplier relationships, all those sorts of things that would have been really hard and would have turned, I guess what we achieved in 3 months would have been like a 3-year process. Yeah. So we definitely saw that. But it was definitely, Vinomofo was the thing where, fuck, this has gone well. Yeah. And we just transferred the entire resources of the company after 3 months, or after sort of 5 months, to Vinomofo.
So how come Catch of the Day got involved in your business? How did that come along where they've gone and taken 25% of your company?
No, they took 70%. So we were from about, I think we were in at about, so we launched in April. Yeah, literally after 3 months, we'd seen the momentum, we thought, as a goer. We also, it's a wine, right? It's a space where you've got, it's a duopoly essentially. You've got Woolworths and you've got Coles. Yep. And they're big and they're very powerful and they've got buying power. And their competitive tactics are pretty bullish. So the minute we came on the radar, we were suddenly in competition for product, for wine, getting wines and getting wine deals with Woolworths, and they weren't afraid to just let suppliers know that they'd prefer they didn't deal with us, And they took that quite fast. So it was almost like we came on the radar and suddenly we had a nice little run, and we really important. One of the big things we learned in business is that product is everything. And there's a good little cycle of business. So first of all, you got to get your product right enough that people talk about you. Then you got to spread the word, and that obviously helps spread the word. And then spreading the word is an aim of getting people to visit. Then you've got to optimise engagement and conversions on those visits, and that's how you get customers. Then you've got to look after your business, which is obviously your margins and your operating costs, and make sure you've got value in the business and you've got profit and you're profitable enough and you look after growth. And then you've got to look after that sort of, and then it's linear. You've got to get the product right, then you've got to spread the word, then you've got to convert, then you've got to get your business right and healthy, and then you've got to, and this has got to sort of come along the way, is just creating a good environment for your team and yourself, and making sure you enjoy it and that you're fulfilled and you're creating a good culture that everyone's
that's what you really had at the start, was that really good culture.
Well, we did when it was just two of us in a garage. Yeah. It was sort of, it was easy, but when we always wanted to, I think the minute we started Vinomofo, I've got a bit of a tangent there, but the minute we started hiring people, and Ollie is here with you guys, was our very first hire. And when we brought Ollie on, it was like, brothers-in-law sitting in the garage, and we suddenly went, we got a space outside the garage because we knew we couldn't have someone come over to my house in the garage. But with Ollie, we sort of took on all this responsibility of, we need to create a culture, we need to create a place that
he's got love to come every day.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And he grows in, and he's happy, so he doesn't leave us. And it was all that sort of responsibility came with that. But that's an aside. So this sort of getting it all starts with product. So I was saying. So for us, it was, we knew that no matter how cool the site was, no matter how cool our communications were, and no matter how sort of engaging we were,
was only going to go. So
it was always going to be about the wines we could get, and that wasn't easy to get, And so you had an industry where producers were scared of online. They just hoped it would go away. So we go, hey, cool online site. No, that's dirty. And that was partly that our predecessors in online had created a real sort of clearance, no valuing of brands and products sort of environment. So we came into that going, no, we'll look after you. There was a lot to trust. So, and throw into the mix, Woolworths going, no, don't deal with them or we'll cut you off. Yeah. It was really hard to get products. So we knew that we had to get from being interesting and sort of cool to being valuable enough that we were able to buy enough off someone and be an important enough channel that they would take the risk and risk their relationships with their distributors and Woolworths in order to deal with us. And that was only going to come from scale. That was only going to come from having enough customers buying wine that we could go in and, instead of buying 30 cases off a producer, we get offered to buy 1,000 cases. So we kind of knew that we were here and we had to get there, and we had to get there really in May.